Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to Bhakti Sastri class and Gita Sastri also. Thank you so much for joining. Let's chant the prayers. Om Jnana Tirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Krishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Haripriye Mancha Kalpatarabhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome once again. We are studying chapter 7 of Gita. It's entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. Knowledge of the Absolute. So in the previous chapter, previous session, we discussed Krishna telling Arjuna that he's going to give Arjuna a very special knowledge, knowing which nothing else will remain to know. Jnanam teham savijnanam. Two things: knowledge about Krishna's greatness and knowledge about Krishna's sweetness. Two things will be told by Krishna to Arjuna. And so far, in verses 4 to 12, Krishna explained about his material and spiritual energy, how everything comes from him, how everything gets destroyed and dissolves in him, and how everything is maintained by him. To explain that he is the basis of everything, Krishna gave 14 examples, like he is the taste of water, he is the light of sun and moon, he is the heat of fire, he is the life in the living, he is the strength of the strong, the intelligence of the intelligent, the power of the powerful, right? 14 ways of seeing Krishna everywhere by seeing Krishna's connection with everything, which happens to be Krishna's energy. Now, though it is so simple in one sense, because everything has got some relation with Krishna, and when I see things in relation to Krishna, I can remember Krishna always. But then many people are not able to do that, or not even accept the idea that God exists. They are so much off the track. What is the reason for that? Why such thing is there? So that will be now further discussed between Krishna and Arjuna. We'll begin that section of Bhagavad-gita chapter 7 by saying the Mangalacharan for Bhagavad-gita that we have decided. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullarvindayata Patra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vitraikaparnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Duhe Namaha. So the answer is why people are not able to see Krishna's hand in everything, because of being conditioned by three modes of material nature. That is the thing, right? That is the curtain which shields Krishna or hides Krishna from our view. There's a curtain. Curtain on whom? Curtain on us. We can't see Krishna through that curtain. So this curtain is spoken about in the Vedic scriptures in different places. Here Krishna is speaking about that. Let's go to the verse first, 7.13. Tribhir gunamayir bhaver evihi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mam 𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗹. Tribhir. Tribhir means made up of three. Gunamayir, made up of three gunas. Bhaver, the material nature. Sarvamidam jagat, which is spread across the entire universe. Because of that, mohitam na vijanati, people do not know me. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. So it's the three modes or the material energy of Krishna who hides Krishna's view from people's experience, their sight. Krishna is not visible to them because of this particular energy of Krishna. Right? In this regard, Prabhupada writes, every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular type of psychological and biological activities accordingly. There are four classes of men functioning in the three modes of material nature. Those who are purely in the mode of goodness are called Brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called Kshatriyas. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance are called Vaishyas. Those who are completely in ignorance are called Shudras. And those who are less than that are animals or animal life. Humans as animals or animals. Both are lower category. So how do we rise above this obstacle of not seeing Krishna? So someone may say, yes, you come to the platform of Sattva Guna, then you can see Krishna. Come to mode of goodness. Yes, coming to mode of goodness is very important in life. Sattva, living a pure, healthy, mind-controlled, mindful life, that's very nice. But that is not sufficient to understand Krishna. That's not sufficient. Why so? Even goodness falls short. Those who are in the modes of passion, ignorance, and even those who are in the mode of goodness cannot go beyond the impersonal Brahman conception of the absolute truth. When even those who are in goodness cannot understand, what hope is there for those in passion and ignorance? Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all these three modes of material nature. And those who are truly established in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated. So we understand, as per this shloka and other shlokas of Gita, one has to rise above mode of passion and ignorance, as well as one has to rise above mode of goodness to be able to actually understand Krishna, because Krishna is transcendental. So can bad people understand Krishna? No. Can worst people who are worse than the bad, they understand Krishna? No. Can good people understand Krishna? No. None of these can. None of these can understand Krishna completely. Understanding the rarity and exalted nature of devotion to God, one should be truly humble if one happens to receive it. So what we are trying to here understand is, Krishna mentioned this knowledge about him is rare, and even those who are in goodness, they cannot understand it. So how come that very common people, spiritually unqualified, they are able to get this knowledge and appreciate to some extent? That's Krishna's special kindness upon those souls. And understanding that that soul should be very humble, that I have been given something which I don't really deserve. So I should be humble and I should treasure it very much, that yes, I have this special opportunity to know Krishna, who is unknowable to even those who are in mode of goodness. Mother Kunti speaks something similar in Srimad Bhagavatam when her prayers to Krishna come. She says the same thing. Maya javanika channam agya adhokshajam avyayam na lakshyase moola drisha nato natya dharo yatha. She says, because you are beyond the range of limited sense perception, Maya javanika channam. Maya is Krishna's illusory energy. Achanam is covered. Javani means the veil, the curtain. So she's saying, Krishna, you are covered by the curtain of diluting energy, the illusory energy. And that's why no one can see you. Agya adhoksha jamavyayam. Na lakshya se moola drisha nato natya dharo yatha. So she says, you just appear like an actor dressed in different, dresses and doing different kind of roles. But people cannot identify who you truly are. When you come as Ram, they will consider you as an ideal human being. When you come as Krishna, then they consider you as someone who is very smart and who has some mystic powers, who is very intelligent, who is very charismatic, but at the same time, someone who doesn't have good character so much. Right? So when you come in different forms, people just look at those forms and assume yourself to be that, the external form. But people do not know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the original person who takes to these different forms and acts in different ways. So they are not able to see your true identity, right? And then she says, what to speak of, she says that you come here to this planet to do your wonderful pastimes because you want to deliver Paramahamsas, the great souls who are as beautiful as the swan, because they have only good qualities. And then she says, how can then lower grade of humans know you? And then she says, including myself. How can I understand you? I'm too small to know you. Even great souls cannot know you. Great souls cannot understand you. So how can I know you? Bringing out the humility aspect, that it's very difficult to know Krishna. Very, very difficult. And even great personalities find it difficult. So how can we, who are ordinary, spiritually speaking, know Krishna, right? So then having spoken that, then in the next verse, Krishna gives the clue. How can you overcome this deluding energy? What is the way to go beyond the deluding energy? That's mentioned in 7.14. Devi Esha Gunamayi Mammaya Duratyaya Mama eva ye prapadyante mayam etam karantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So this energy is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered. This energy is called gunamayi, made up of three gunas. And duratyaya, very difficult to cross over. But Krishna says, if you surrender to me, you can easily cross over. It's divine energy of Krishna. Why it is divine? Because it's connected to Krishna. All the energies of Krishna, the divine energies, they're connected to Krishna. That's why they are also very powerful. Right, so let's read the purport here. Someone would like to volunteer reading the purport. Yes, Sonali Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I am unable to see the screen, Prabhuji.
Wait a second, yes. Please read.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, Prabhuji, can you speak? Hare Krishna Prabhuji. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the entities, belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned souls is therefore called Nitya Baddha. or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy. Because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, Prabhuji, supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows: Mayam tu prakritim vidyan. Prabhuji, I am unable to see. Mayam tu prakritim vidyan mayinam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Prabhuji, shall I continue?
Yeah.
Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Prabhuji, can you? Yeah. Without without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of the illusory energy, can order the insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Someone else can read the next part. Vijay Mataji, Vijay Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
words Mam Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajoguna, passion, and Tamoguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of the Prabhu. Can you scroll up, please? Influence of Maya. Both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas confirm this is the phrase 𝗪𝗵 viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur evana samsayam. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So it's a very self-clear, evident purport about different topics. Krishna is the one who can give liberation. Even Vishnu, even Shiva and Brahma cannot. Only Krishna can give actual mukti, freedom from problems in complete. So one has to surrender to Krishna. Now, what is the role of Maya Devi? Maya Devi acts as Krishna's watchdog. Like people keep a watchdog at the entrance to their house. So it is to not allow the intruder, a passerby, a stranger, to enter the house and rope something out from there. It's for protection. So Maya Devi, she keeps the souls who have developed envy towards Krishna away from Krishna. Why so? So that they don't become an unnecessary disturbance in Krishna's pastimes. They are kept outside Krishna's pastimes so that they don't disturb Krishna or Krishna's other devotees. So Maya does something which is actually very much needed for Krishna's pastimes to go on without any botheration, from those who are envious of Krishna. Right? So she is Krishna's servant, working for Krishna. How? Just like the police department works for the government. The police department doesn't trouble the good citizens, but the police department gives so much of harassment to the bad citizens. So the conditioned souls, nitya baddha jivas, they are always tormented or actually troubled by the three modes of material nature, Maya Devi. And they are kept in illusion. Why they are kept in illusion? Just because of their nature to function independent of Krishna. She is watching them. But if let's say Krishna allows that person to come in the house, then Krishna is like the owner of the house telling the dog that you keep quiet. This person is known to me. You let him come in. So then the dog is just wagging the tail and lets the other person go in. Similarly, Maya Devi doesn't touch such people whom Krishna allows or sanctions entrance into eternal realm. Surrender to Krishna means basically getting that green signal from Krishna that Maya, leave him or leave her. Now she's mine. No more a stranger. Trusted person. Let that person come in. So that's how Maya's job is. She's Krishna's or God's watchdog. How is she serving Krishna? By stopping people from interfering into Krishna's pastimes who will make trouble, unnecessary trouble. She's just keeping them away. Like people who are celebrities, they keep bouncers. You know them, right? Very heavyweight people around that celebrity, moving around that celebrity, protecting that celebrity from the public. Maya Devi is Krishna's bouncer, keeping people away, people who are not needed, right? So she's just keeping them away. But if you surrender to Krishna, then she allows. Then she becomes a supporter, actually, just like the police. When the person becomes a good citizen, the same police then provides protection. Then the police doesn't harass anymore. She provides, Maya Devi helps the devotees. She helps. Now, Arjuna then says, if surrendering to you solves all the problems, I mean, you just surrender to Krishna and you are free from Maya, why do people not surrender to you? Especially those who are very, very learned. And so there are people who are so knowledgeable, even they might have studied the Shastras, they may be Dvivedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi, knowing 2 Vedas, 3 Vedas, 4 Vedas, or they can be scientists, philosophers, thinkers, poets, educated. So Arjuna is saying, why these people also find it difficult to surrender to you then? Why? So Krishna says there are 4 kinds of people who will always not surrender to me. There are 4 kinds of people. But before we discuss about those 4 kinds, let's look some more things about this particular shloka, which we are doing now, which is like, it talks about guna. Guna means quality. Guna also means rope. So the 3 modes are compared to ropes because you can see this jute rope with which the hands of this person are tied up. You can see this rope is made up of very thin strands, or threads. Actually, if you look at a jute rope, you can unwirl it, unwind it, and you'll find very thin strands, which are actually put together to make this thick rope. So likewise, the three modes of material nature, they do a lap, overlap, again a lap, overlap. In this way, they are twisted and turned around. And then using these three gunas, you make a big, thick rope. And that thick rope basically covers us up or controls us. We are tied hand and neck through that rope, which means we are forced to behave as per the gunas. We are helpless. We are just made to behave like that. Like to give an example, if the spirit soul is free from material body, putting the spirit soul in a particular body is so much conditioning the spirit soul, because then if the spirit soul is in a dog's body, it is actually being forced on that soul to act like a dog. When the spirit soul is put in a human body, then it's actually a force on that soul to act like a human. When that soul is put in a tree body, then that soul is forced to act like a tree. So these gunas are such strong ropes, which actually don't let us go out of what we are put into, the condition. That's why we are called conditioned beings. Why conditioned? Because we are put in a condition, and we cannot come out of that condition. So we are conditioned beings, not free from that. So who can liberate? Only Lord Vishnu, no one else. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. So that's why demigods can give us fulfillment of material desires, but demigods can never give us liberation from material world. They cannot award us liberation. Why they cannot award us liberation? They themselves are not liberated. So they cannot help us give liberation. So moksha or mukti is only given by Lord Vishnu. Freedom, right? And even other avatars of Lord Krishna, they can only give us a minute freedom or minute liberation. Only Krishna, Bhagavan, in Krishna form, can actually give complete liberation. This is evident from the pastime of Jaya and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Lord Vishnu, coming to material world and becoming Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So these two were residents of Vaikuntha, serving the Supreme Lord. Four Kumaras cursed them, and then they had to take 3 births as demons. So in the first birth, Jaya came as Hiranyakashipu and Vijay came as Hiranyaksha. Jaya was killed by Narsingadev, Vijay was killed by Varaha Bhagavan. But they did not get complete liberation. In the next life, they had to take birth again as demons. Jaya became Ravana, Vijay became Kumbhakarna. Jaya and Vijay both in that birth was killed by Lord Ramachandra. But still they got a third birth in which they came as Shishupal and Dantavakra. And in this, Krishna killed both of them. And they received complete liberation. But they did not receive Krishna Prem or love of Krishna. So in Kali Yuga, then these two came as Jagai and Madhai. In the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna in Kali Yuga. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given them, Jagai and Madhai, Krishna Prem, love of Krishna. So this is how surrendering to Krishna is very special. One who surrenders to Krishna gets complete liberation. And if one surrenders to Sri Chaitanya, one gets something more than liberation. Love of Krishna. One gets to love Krishna. Okay. So this is the famous painting of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda dealing with Jagai and Madhai, these two brothers. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. They were very sinful. It said that there was not even a single sin which they did not commit. And the whole village was scared of them, all the people. But somehow they came in contact with the Supreme Lord and they got delivered by the Supreme Lord. He gave them his mercy and they became pure Vaishnavas, completely pure Vaishnavas. After initiation into Krishna consciousness, then their name became Jagadanand and Madhvanand. Before it was Jagai and Madai, they became Jagadananda and Madhvananda. Very, very nice devotees, great devotees. So this is what we learn from these two shlokas. Now, though people know surrendering to Krishna can make things so easy, people don't. And Krishna says there are four kinds who do not, who never surrender to me, right? Four kinds who do not surrender to Krishna and four kinds who do surrender to Krishna. All right. So the four kinds who do not surrender to Krishna. Namam dushkritino mula prapadyante naradhamaha maya pahitakyana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Four people, or four kinds of people, do not surrender unto me. It's a very, very long purport, actually, if we have seen, more than 3 pages. Not 3, it's 6 pages, basically. More than 6 pages. Pretty long purport. So, but it's very important to understand. Dushkritinaha means who? Dushkritinaha means those people who are very intelligent, but their intelligence is wrongly applied. Not that they don't have brains, but their brains are wrongly applied. Dushkritinaha. They don't surrender to Krishna. So these four are, as I said, very nicely elaborated upon by Srila Prabhupada. We'll read one at a time, and then we'll summarize each one of them, who exactly they are. Okay, so someone please read this paragraph, just this paragraph, yeah? The atheistic plan makers. Neha Mataji.
The atheistic plan makers are described herein by the word dushkritinaha, or miscreants. Kriti means one who has performed meritorious work. The atheist plan maker is sometimes very intelligent and meritorious also. Because any gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because the atheist brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Supreme Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called dushkruti, which indicates that his intelligence and efforts are misdirected.
Thank you. Okay. Misdirect intelligence, right? So the intelligence is there, but it's not properly put. It's put in the wrong place. Now let's read one by one. Who are these? So first one, Mulaha. Sureka Mataji, please read first Mulahas.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadhar Pranam. The Mulas are those who are grossly foolish, like hard-working beasts of burden. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves and so do not want to part with them for the Supreme. The typical example of the beast of burden is the ass. This humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass doesn't really know from whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party. The ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but this brain sound only disturbs others. This is the position of the foolish fruitive workers who does not know for whom he should work. He does not know that karma is meant for sacrifices. Most आगे पढ़ना प्रभु जी.
Yes, Mataji, please read.
Most often, those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being To such moodas, the material gain which are destructible are lives all in all, despite the fact that the moodas enjoy only a very small fraction of the fruit of labor. Sometimes they spend sleepless day and night for fruitive gains, and although they may have ulcers or indigestion, they are satisfied with practically no fruit. They are simply absorbed in work, working hard day and night for the benefit of illusory master, ignorant of their real masters. The foolish workers waste their valuable time serving mammon. Unfortunately, they never surrender to the supreme master of all masters, nor do they take time to hear of him from the proper sources. The swine who eat the night's soil do not care to accept sweet meats made of sugar and ghee. Similarly, the foolish worker will untiringly continue to hear of the sense enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane world, but will have very little time to hear about the eternal living force that moves the material world.
Thank you. So here, Mudha is explained by Srila Prabhupada. And he's calling those hardworking people who are busy doing so many things as fools. Why is calling them fools, or why is Krishna calling such people fools? Because what they are working for can actually be easily obtained otherwise, without doing that much of hard work. That's the reason the example of a donkey or ass is given. That a donkey has a lot of grass to eat. But then the donkey thinks, until unless I work so hard, I cannot eat. So similarly, people in the world, they think we are working hard, but actually it's material nature, illusory energy of Krishna, which makes them work hard. Why it makes them work hard? It's just like, a prisoner kept in the prison house is given a lot of labor work. And why the prisoner given a lot of labor work? That's a punishment. Why it's such a punishment? Because if the prisoner is not going to work, he's going to create nuisance, so much of damage. He will fight with other prisoners. So just to keep him busy, he has been given so much of daily work, and he has to complete that. Likewise, people are acting in this material world. They think, I am doing so many things, but it is just Krishna's three energies pulling on the strings and making that person behave in different ways. So whatever we see around us, skyscraper buildings, highways, flyovers, subways, trains, flights, cars, electronic gadgets, it's all the product of Krishna's illusory energy. The illusory energy is working through people, making them do so many things. Why? Just to keep them busy. Busy for what? Busy for temporary objects. So this is the illusion which is on their eyes or on their vision, and they cannot see the reality. So what happens to such a person? If such a person happens to meet a pure devotee of Krishna, let's say gets a copy of Bhagavad-gita as it is, met some devotees. And when these devotees, they talk to him, or the Gita talks to him or her about Krishna consciousness, what happens? Then that illusion curtain is a little bit lifted. And when that curtain is lifted, that person is able to see reality. Oh, I was working so hard for grass, but there is so much grass around. Why am I working so hard for that green grass, which is so easily available? Now, let me go for this option. But the thing is that when you stop being a donkey, the other donkeys don't like it, right? When you understand that, okay, I was wrong before, now I've understood the right path. So when you take to the right path, the other donkeys who have not yet taken to the right path, they don't like it, right? So why? Because from their eyes, the curtain has not been removed yet. So they don't see the green grass that you see. Right? For them, the green grass is after so much of hard work for the day, you are going to get the green grass. But for the other who has understood, the illusion is gone. The green grass is very easily available. That's how the difference is. Now, this person thinking I am doing so great is only actually illusory energies work on that person. That we understand here. You know, it's nothing great actually. It is just a great punishment to work so hard for nothing. So, mulas, animalistic fools. Prabhupada, to summarize, this is what mula means. Most often, those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties. Now, this is such a nice word used by Prabhupada here. Self-created duties. People, they think themselves to be so important. I have this to do, I have that to do. And if you ask them, take out some time for Krishna consciousness. No, I have hundreds of things to do. But these are all self-created duties, you know. Not really whether Krishna has or God has given those duties to us. We just imagine that we have to do so many things. And then we kick that burden on us. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, do that. Say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living beings. To such mulas, material gains, which are destructible, are life's all in all. Despite the fact that the mulas enjoy only a very small fraction of the fruit of labor. All right, now the next one, second one.
Can I ask a question, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. Is it
Yes.
possible or later? I was just wondering, whenever I read this this definition of mudas, the thing around, what about those who are enslaved, slavery and bonded and things like that? Where would they get classified? It's not their fault. They're bonded, for whatever reasons. How would that get? They may not like it, but they're just doing it because they're born that way, or they're into a situation of that kind.
Yeah, I understand. So they are forced by the environment to be in that particular position. That's because of their karma only. It's not that they are not connected to their karma. It's because of their karma. Anyone is put in situation where one is forced by the environment, by the people, by the situation to act in a particular manner. It's the karma. So the reason for someone in slavery or someone not in slavery is that person himself or herself. Everyone is a slave, some to great degree, some to small degree. Right? So those who are the masters of the slaves, like they are slaves and they are masters of the slaves. So those are masters of the slaves. They are also slaves to the three modes. And those who are slaves of the masters, they are also slaves to three modes. All are slaves, just that some people are externally put into situations where they go through that torture and pressure. And the other people, they think that we are free, but they're also being taken through the same because of slavery to Maya. So here, when we talk about slavery to material energy of Krishna, it applies to all. It applies to the successful, to the one who is a failure, to the people who are conquering the world, and to those also who are getting conquered, to the great kings, to the great slaves. It applies to all.
Thank you, Professor.
All are slaves. Externally, it may appear some are not. No one is free.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Please, can I ask this quick question, please?
Yeah.
Yes. For instance, the crimes which was ordered by slave masters for the slaves to commit a crime, they ordered to maybe kill someone. What happens to these people? Are they going to pay for this crime with their karma, or because they are ordered, they are free of it?
Okay. So now you're saying if a person is in a situation where one is told by the master to commit something wrong, and this person knows this is wrong, but he's in a situation he cannot help, right? Isn't it? So now definitely we can have some sympathy for such a person, but we should know A person landing in that situation itself is related to that person's past. Why he has a particular master? Why has material nature put him in that awkward situation? So, when people who are knowledgeable and they find themselves in such situations where they cannot really help but do the wrong thing, those are knowledgeable. They at that time realize that they must have done something wrong in the past, because of which Providence has put them in such a situation where, though they know what is right and what is wrong, they cannot help but do the wrong. So they understand this is wrong, and they understand I cannot help but do it. But at the same time, this gives them an alarm that, you see, you must have done something wrong in the past, because of which you have been put in such an awkward situation. So they know inauspicious situations in life come because of one's bad karma. This is an inauspicious situation because you cannot have any auspiciousness, whether you take right or left. It's all inauspicious, right? So it's related to one's karma. So one repents at that moment. Oh, it's my bad karma that I'm in such a situation. If a person thinks like that, then that person can become free from that karma. Repentance is also a kind of rectification, But in that situation, if a person starts blaming God, why have you put me in such a situation where I cannot take the right decision? Then you should know Krishna has got nothing to do with you in that sense. He is not putting you in a situation, awkward situation. It is me or you. It is you who have brought yourself to that situation by your karma. Okay. So awkward situations in life, which means something in the past I have done. So I am put in a helpless position. I cannot do the right thing. I am forced to do the wrong thing. In that situation, if a person continues to do that, but then, as we have discussed before in Bhagavad-gita, only because one is in that situation, however, with no strings attached, then that person can also become free from bondage. If that person acts in knowledge. Chapter 4, if you remember, what did it say? Krishna told Arjuna, even if you are the greatest sinner, but if you act with transcendental knowledge, all your sins will get purified. Right? So even if by circumstance I am put in a situation where I am doing something wrong, if I do with transcendental knowledge, then my wrong will not be considered wrong. I'll be purified. It will purify me. Okay, fine. Like give you an example. Nowadays, finding a new job, switching over to a new profession is very easy. Let's say you don't like a kind of company, a job, you change. And you can easily develop the skill set for the new job and go for it. But in the old times, let's say a person was born in the family of hunters. Hunters. And what do the hunters do? They go hunt in the forest, kill the animal, then remove their leather, the skin, sell the leather, sell the bones, and in that way make their life. Okay, that's what they do. That's their profession. That's how they earn their livelihood. Now, if a boy is born in such a family and from his childhood, he has only learned one thing. What is that? Hunting. He has learned nothing else. Now he has grown up. He has a family. He has kids. And now he wakes up to his senses. Oh my God, this is very sinful. I should not be doing this. Is wrong. But what to do? He has learned nothing else. And the society is so, conservative because you have always lived your life as a hunter. Now, if you take to another profession, people will not accept you in that profession. So in that situation, if the person continues to be a hunter because he or she has no other option whatsoever, but does that with transcendental knowledge, realized knowledge that these animals are, after all, living entities, souls. I am spirit soul, right? I should not kill these animals because I have some hatred towards them, But I kill those animals as a matter of duty. I don't overkill the animals, not that he's killing on so many elephants, deers, and stuff like that on daily basis. But okay, for my maintenance, every month I have to kill one deer, one tiger, something like that. So I do that as a matter of duty. Then in that case, that occupation will purify that person because he's doing it with this particular consciousness. Understand? Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. It's perfectly clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the Brahmana stay in mode of goodness all the time? When he sometimes feel lazy, can we say he's in mode of ignorance? Yes, of course. Mode of goodness is prominently there. All three of modes will be acting on us. When we are taking rest, then we are under the influence of mode of ignorance. Yes, right? But then we should know that that level of ignorance is not the same as someone who is predominantly controlled by ignorance and who is sleeping, right? So this ignorance is not as heavy as that ignorance. In ignorance also there are levels of ignorance. In goodness there are levels of goodness. Okay. So now we go to the next category, Naradhama. Let's read about Naradhama. Someone else, Lokesh Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Another class of Drishkriti or miscreant is called Naradhama, or the lowest of mankind. Nara means human being and Adhama means the lowest. Out of the 84 legs different species of living beings, there are 4-legged human species. Out of these, there are numerous lower forms of human life that are mostly uncivilized. The civilized human beings are those who have regulative principles of social, political, and religious life. Those who are socially and politically developed but who have no religious principles must be considered Naradhamas. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of following religious principle is to know the supreme truth and man's relation with him. In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him and that he is the supreme truth. The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relation with the supreme truth. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is all-powerful. Whoever loses this chance is classified as Naradhama. We get information from revealed scriptures that when the baby is in mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation, he prays to God for deliverance and promises to worship him alone as soon as he gets out. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is a natural instinct in every living being because he is eternally related to God. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulties of birth and forgets his deliverer also, being influenced by Maya, the illusory energy. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes.
It is the duty of the guardians of children to revive the divine consciousness dormant in them. The 10 processes of reformatory ceremonies as enjoined in the Manusmriti, which is the guide to religious principles, are meant for reviving God consciousness in the system of Varnashrama. However, no process is strictly followed now in any part of the world, and therefore 99.9% of the population is Naradhama.
Yes, further, one more last paragraph.
When the whole population becomes Naradhama, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void by the all-powerful energy of physical nature. According to the standard of Gita, a learned man is he who sees on equal terms the learned Brahmana, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. That is the vision of the true devotee. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Godhead as Divine Master, delivered the typical Naradhamas, the brothers Jagai and Madhai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So, the Naradhama, who is condemned by the personality of Godhead, can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Next. So now in Naradhamas, Prabhupada says, basically, who are those? The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Truth, who is all-powerful, the personality of God is Sri Krishna. And anyone who fails in this is classified as the lowest among mankind or humankind, because that person has failed in getting what the human form can give. So that person is lower in stage, is the lowest amongst humankind, could not get what a human is supposed to get, right? And the next one is 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗃 Jnana, next class. Guru Mai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Venerable Pranam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in propagating the Bhagavata Dharma.
Paragraph, go to 3, the next class of Duskriti.
Oh, the next class of Duskritina is called 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗃, or those persons whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of the illusory material energy. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, etc. But the illusory energy misguides them, and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord. There are a great number of 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗃 at the present moment, even amongst the scholars of the Gita. In the Gita, in plain and simple language, it is stated that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is none equal to or greater than him. He is mentioned as the father of Brahma, the original father of all human beings. In fact, Sri Krishna is said to be not only the father of Brahma, but also the father of all species of life. He is the root of the impersonal Brahman and Paramatma, the super soul in every entity in his plenary portion. He is the fountainhead of everything, and everyone is advised to surrender unto his lotus feet. Despite all these clear statements, the 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗃 deride the personality of the Supreme Lord and consider him merely another human being. They do not know that the blessed form of human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental features of the Supreme Lord. All the unauthorized interpretations of the Gita by the class of 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗃 outside the purview of the Parampara system are so many such stumbling blocks in the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow these principles. The last class of Duskritina is called Asuram Bhavam Asrita, or those of demonic principles. This class is openly atheistic. Some of them argue that the Supreme Lord can never descend upon this material world, but they are unable to give any tangible reason as to why not. There are others who make him subordinate to the impersonal feature, although the opposite is declared in the Gita. Envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the atheist will present a number of illicit incarnations manufactured in the factory of his brain. Such person, whose very principle of life is to decry the personality of Godhead, cannot surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna.
All
Sri
right,
Yamuna.
thank you.
Okay, yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here, therefore, grossly foolish persons, the lowest of mankind, the deluded speculators, and the professed atheists, have above mentioned, never surrender unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, in spite of all scriptural and authoritative advice. In short, the definition of the third class is, 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗃 often follow atheistic Sankhya philosophy and think that the creation is enacted by material nature. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, etc. They deride the personality of the Supreme Lord and consider him merely another human being. Okay, and the last one is Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha. So that refers to whom? those who are born atheists, they want to deny God existence because they're envious of God. They don't want God to exist, which means their hatred towards God is so deep-rooted that they don't want to talk about God, hear about God, worship God, let others worship God. They want to basically kill Krishna or God by saying you don't exist. Just like when you're very angry with people, you may give this remark to them that from today, you don't exist for me, right? You don't live anymore for me. So that's how these people are very angry with God. So they deny him existence. And you must have seen this, interestingly, many people who are agnostic or who are atheist, they are those who could not accept suffering in their life beyond a certain limit. When that suffering crossed that limit, then their faith in Krishna or God being kind goes away. And then they have this question, heart-burning question, why did God do this to me? And then they stop believing God. Because they cannot understand. People say God is kind, but I don't see any kindness. So if there is no kindness, which means there is no God. Right? No God, no kindness. So they stop believing in God because of that. And then they become very, very demoniac. Because now they have stopped accepting God's existence, they also stop listening to the good words of God, the good instructions. Then they become very sinful. They stop following any rules and regulations, living a very free life, doing anything and everything. That's what happens to them. Okay, so any question so far before we take a break? David Prabhu, you had your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to read, but I think you're not
okay. Read the next one. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, this how to bring them into Krishna consciousness, or at least a little bit of Krishna consciousness, or the type 3 and type 4, that is Maya, Parhuta, Jnanis and Asuras.
How do we bring them to Krishna consciousness? We'll talk about it later, Mataji. One hint is definitely given in the purport by Srila Prabhupada that these kinds of people can take to Krishna consciousness by association with pure devotees of Krishna. That is one way, So by pure devotees Sangha, association of pure devotees, they can also get changed. They can also have a transformation. And there is another way also to helping them. So we'll discuss that when we come after the break. Okay? Yes. I need knowledge.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, you said that, and it's written that the Mudaha are the ones who are foolishly engaged in hard work. So what about the people who are in Krishna consciousness? Even they are engaged in hard work and they are also very busy and they also don't have time. Yes, they do follow Krishna consciousness, but they are also very busy. They are also working all the time. What about?
So the inspiration for this person who is working very hard in Maya and the inspiration for the other person who is working very hard for Krishna, both is coming from Krishna. Krishna is inspiring one person to work hard in Maya and the other to work hard for Krishna. That's because of that person's orientation, what that person wants, what that person is looking for. So just because this one person is working hard for Maya, that doesn't make him right. Working hard is not the problem here. The problem is work hard where?
Okay, the consciousness.
Consciousness and the intention, the purpose, why you are doing it.
Okay.
Like, for example, if the donkey works very hard, there's nothing wrong about it. But if you are working hard for something which is easily available, then you'll be called a stupid worker, not a smart worker, right? Smart worker will be like, okay, to get this thing done, I need to put this much amount of effort and I get this much. Now, in general, those who are materialistic people, they are working so hard for what? They are looking for some happiness. That's why they are working so hard. The idea that if I work hard and I become very rich, I'll be happy. If I work hard and I become very famous, I'll be happy. If I work hard and I become powerful and I can control the lives of thousands of people, I'll be happy. If I can work hard and become a master in this skill or ability, then I'll be recognized, I'll have a distinction, and then I'll be happy. So they have all these ideas about happiness. But Krishna is saying you can be happy very easily without working so hard also. That is possible. If you're looking really for happiness, that is possible by spiritual practices or spiritual life. And then in the spiritual life, the person is working hard. That is again a positive inspiration from the Supreme Lord, so that that person can benefit himself, herself, and also share the benefit with others. So it's working hard again now, but for a different purpose. Yes, Bindu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Maya Devi is nothing but a Durga Devi.
What your voice is? Very faint.
Maya Devi is a Durga Devi avatar only.
Yeah, Durga Devi is Maya Devi, not avatar. Durga is Maya. She functions as Maya Shakti of Krishna.
Being a devotee, Prabhuji, to follow the family or family sentiments, so that we have to also being a Krishna consciousness, and also we have to follow the what we say Devi Devatas. Also we have to worship. So in being a devotee, is it right? Because if I'm a mother, I have to for a child. We have to go to
chapter tomorrow. Same chapter. This topic will come after a few shlokas. The topic will come, so we'll discuss it then. Right? Okay, Anja Mataji.
Prabhuji, in regard with what Harnit Mataji had asked, so in the same way, like those who are in Krishna consciousness, but they are working day and night to be getting recognized at some position. Okay, yeah. It may be a position of a speaker, maybe a position of something else. Then is it also taken like in the same manner as it is taken in the material world?
Yeah. They are being influenced by Krishna's Maya Shakti to work in that manner. You see, if I have a material desire, my material desire will be fulfilled by arrangements made by material nature. She will make the arrangements to fulfill my material desire. So whether it is a devotee or a non-devotee, either one of them working hard to fulfill material desires, the control is under the hands of illusory energy of Krishna. So only when a devotee starts working hard to serve Krishna, then that devotee is under the control of the other energy of Krishna known as Yoga Maya. It's like, take that same example. The person in the prison house is also working very hard, breaking stones whole day. And the person outside the prison house is also working very hard, making a stone building, working very hard. So, but both of them working hard differently. This person is working hard as a punishment. That person is working hard out of gratitude, or let's say, with a positive feeling. So a devotee working hard for Krishna is based on the understanding, I'm Krishna's servant, I'm serving Krishna. The other person is working for himself very, very hard, so that I can use the resources available to me in the best way so that I can enjoy it the most. Right? All right. So, okay. Let's go for a break, 2-3 minutes break before we come back. Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome back. Let's go to the next verse, which is about those who surrender to Krishna. For people who do surrender to Krishna, right? Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jikyasu arthati jnani cha bharatarshava. So 4 kinds of people always surrender to Krishna or can surrender to Krishna, yes. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotion service to me, the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Purport. Someone please read the purport. Yes, Sonali Mach.
Hare Krishna. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherents to adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritinaha, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these four classes of out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. Those persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu defines pure devotion thus: Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmade Anavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these four kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also becomes pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at that time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service, and thus transcend knowledge of impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma, and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seeker of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, the search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So here, the four kinds of people who come to Krishna or Krishna consciousness is explained by Lord Krishna himself. Four kinds. Sukritinaha. Now, this is very important section for us to understand. Lessons here for us, practical lessons and spiritual lessons for our own spiritual life. So let's see first here. There are so many people in this world who suffer or who need money, but do all go to Krishna? No. Here it is said four kinds of people go to Krishna: those who suffer, those who need money, those who are curious to know, those who are wise. But then we see there are people who are wise, they don't go to Krishna. There are people who are suffering like hell, they don't go to God. People who are badly in need of money, they don't go. People are curious to know, but then they go to this particular sadhu, that particular sadhu. They don't want to know from Bhagavad-gita the reality. So why is that so many people who can go to God do not go to God? What is special about these four? What makes these four special? What makes them come to Krishna?
Because they know that there is a supreme who can help them out of a situation.
Their past life bhakti.
Yes, past life bhakti. Thank you so much. So here, the word in the Sanskrit shloka, you see the word has come sukritinaha. Sukritinaha. Kriti means action. Su means good action. So these people, they have done some good action in the past. But what kind of good action? Feeding the hungry, helping the poor, that kind of good action? No. That kind of good action will only bring punya karma or good material reaction. Means if someone has fed the poor, this person will never have shortage of food in next life. Someone has given, medical treatment to sick, this person will never become sick in next life. So what I get in return is material. If I give material help, I get material return, maybe in a greater proportion. But here when it says that person gets Krishna consciousness, this Krishna consciousness cannot be born just because of some punya karma, some good karma, some good action. No. So there has to be some bhakti which has given birth to bhakti. Only devotion can give birth to devotion. Okay. So what kind of sukriti they have performed because of which they have got this opportunity? It's called ajnata sukriti. Ajnata sukriti means devotional activities performed without any knowledge of them. Refers to pious activities leading to devotional service performed without the actor's knowledge or intention of doing devotional service. That's called ajnata sukriti. Now, can you give examples of ajnata sukriti? Like, just give some practical examples of what can be called ajnata sukriti. You can even put in the chat box the answer, or you can raise your hand. Neha Mataji, quick, let's.
If there is some Krishna devotee at home helping the devotee, take him to the temple.
Okay, but then you know already if that person is a devotee, then that's not ajnata. Ajnata means you don't know. So your example can work in this way. Someone has invited, a group of people to stay at his home, and he doesn't know one of them is a Vaishnava. And then this person does some seva to the entire group, taking them from one place to another. And because one of them happens to be a Vaishnava, this is seva to a devotee without knowing that that person is a devotee. So that's called ajnata sukriti, right? Anju Mataji.
Getting Krishna Prasad unknowingly.
Correct. Getting Krishna Prasad unknowingly. Surekha Mataji.
जब मेरे सारे घर वाले उठ जाते हैं, they are non-devotee, तो मैं फिर मंगल आरती करती हूँ ताकि उनके कानों में भी जाए, कोई अज्ञात सुकृति देने की कोशिश करती हूँ.
All right. If you speak in English, then everyone can understand. Right? Here, many don't understand Hindi. So, she's saying that when I do Mangalarati in the morning, because my family members are not devotees, they get ajnat sukriti. They are forced to hear Krishna Nam. Yes. Sita Mataji.
Participating in Harinam when you find devotees on the road, chanting the word.
Very good. Thank you. Good example. Devotees are chanting and dancing on the road, the street, and someone just jumps into and starts dancing, singing. That's ajnat sukriti, right? Lokesh Prabhu.
So like you gave an example in last class, that air hostess, he gave Srila Prabhupada fruits and juices. That was also example of.
Yes, that's ajnat sukriti, what she did. Sonali Mataji.
I have one elderly sister. Because she's not does not look like aged enough, so she does all kind of fasting. But when she came to know that I do fasting for Ekadashi, the hard one, she also started doing, and she's adhering to that.
Very good. So that's ajnat sukriti. Yes, good. David Prabhu.
Yes. Sometimes I will take myself for example, but it's a very, very long story, very mysterious one. But for example, if you hear something which is beyond your understanding, which you have not heard before, it makes you more curious, and that can lead you to Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Exams, yes. Mahesh.
I think to me, Ajamil's example suits the best. This example, like Ajamil's son's name was Narayan, and he just was in his last time he was just reciting Narayan. So believing that he was taking his son's name, but actually he was taking Bhagwan Narayan's name.
Correct. That's true. But then, okay, Ajamil's example is good. However, this is not really so much like Agyan Sukriti, because Ajamil was earlier a Vaishnava. For some time, then he fell into Maya and he forgot about it, right? So Ajamil was not ignorant about Narayan being the Supreme Lord. Agyan Sukriti refers to someone who is ignorant about even this knowledge. So Ajamil was a much more senior candidate, like his level was much higher. Here we are talking about people who are totally, completely, blackout.
But that time he was not aware, no, Guruji.
That time he was aware. You see, the Ajamil's pastimes, it has many layers of understanding. Ajamil's case is not of just an ordinary sinful person. Ajamil was a very pious Brahmana who was very learned in the scripture and who was actually also doing a lot of seva to Krishna. It's just that Krishna is teaching us through his story, his pastime, his example, that if you're not careful enough, then you can become very easily distracted. You can go off the track. Correct. So what Ajamil chanted, we'll not call that Agyat Sukriti. That's called Nama Bhas, Nama Jap. That's a different thing. That's a different topic. Nama Bhas. Right. Here we are talking about when the person is really, really, really ignorant. So Ajamil is, yes, in that case, but he's a higher, more advanced version. We are talking about very basic ones, very simple ones. Okay, examples. Your example is correct. Right.
Can we take the example of passengers who are in a bus, and bus is in very bad situation. It's a very bad, trouble. And that time just, coming out of the danger, like maybe in an aeroplane also, when it is in turbulence. Then
correct. You can say that people suddenly scream for help to Krishna or God. So that's Agyat.
Thank you.
Momentarily done something. Correct. Okay, Usha Mataji, last example.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I have someone who is helping me in my house, like sweeping and all, and she watches me doing Vigraha Seva, Prashadam, offering. So she has, desired that I should bring for her Vigraha. Then I have just talked in the temple opposite my house, and they have a lot of these Laddu Gopals. So, and she said maybe in Kartik Mahina, I will just ask my family members. So could I help in that also, Prabhuji? Is it the right thing to do? I told her, you have to come along with me and you can select whatever you want. So maybe kindly guide me in this matter, Prabhuji.
No, it's a bit off-bit question. But anyway, you are saying someone at your house, a maid, she's asking you to help buy one Laddu Gopal, she can worship, right? That's what you're saying, isn't it? Okay, very good. You can help her, no problem. But then, the best way to worship deities is that someone should give you the deities. You should not buy from the market.
It's available in the temple, number of them.
Yeah, it is available in the temple. So someone should give it to you.
Okay.
Which means what? We should follow the science or the etiquette that if I am qualified to worship Krishna, then Krishna will choose to come to my house in the form of deities. So when we have a desire to serve deities, instead of just going to the market and shopping the best kind of deity you can buy, rather you should pray to Krishna to make the arrangement that the deities come to you. So then what will happen is someone will gift you deities. That is the best. Now someone cannot wait for that to happen. Then at least you can pass around this message and have your own near dear ones give you the deity, rather than you going and just buying it off the market shelf and then worshiping it, right? So here you can help her if you like. You can get the deity for her, gift it to her. You worship.
What exactly I got my Krishna Bhagwan in my house. There was an old lady. and she could not.
You told us
suppress
last
and
time the
she-
story.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful. So this is how we get, benefited. So now devotees, they use this principle to share Krishna consciousness with others. Like someone asked Neha Mataji, how do these who are Dushkritinas, they come to Krishna consciousness? So you give them opportunities to develop Agyat Sukruti. So devotees, if they cannot directly help someone become a devotee, they indirectly help those people. Like giving an example, when you meet people, you can greet them good morning, good evening, whatever. But if you just say them Hare Krishna, you're giving them Agyat Sukruti. They're hearing Krishna now, right? So this is the way we can make people more fortunate, inviting them to festivals, giving them prasadam. We should use this principle to bring people closer to Krishna by giving them, indirect opportunities to do some seva for Lord Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada, he had a disciple, his name was Jayanand Prabhu, very, very commonly known amongst devotees who first joined ISKCON. And he was a very joyful devotee who did so much of seva for ISKCON society. His main contribution was organizing Rath Yatra festivals in the United States. Then also he went to London to organize a Rath Yatra festival. So most of the time he would personally make the Rath Yatra cart, either out of a truck or, a wooden cart, whatever. So what he did is that all these people who are like, beggars, street beggars, who do not have house to live in, people just wandering around, drunkards, he would call them. In a very loving way, he would call them and he would tell them that, you help me make this cart, I'll give you food. So in this way, these people would just assemble things together, pile up woods, hammer on the nails, and help that person as like an assistant. And then in return, he would give them prasada. In that way, he was engaging them in Krishna Seva without them knowing that I'm doing Krishna Seva. So in this way, you give them Sukruti. Now, when this Sukruti will amount to a specific quantity, then when they again come to Krishna consciousness opportunity, now it's like a dry grass and you have brought a match which is on fire. So as soon as then the dry grass come in contact with fire, there'll be a big flame of Krishna consciousness. So this is how we do. We help people develop Agyat Sukruti, indirectly giving them Krishna consciousness, organizing festivals, feeding the prasad, and giving them opportunities to serve. Now we'll look at another list here. Another list here where you have to do the exercise. It's an interesting one. See. Okay. Yes. So now you have to match the following. There is a category here. You can see Artha Jigyasu Artharthi Jnani. So there is a definition also. We'll come to the match the following later. First, let's look at the definition of all these 4 categories individually. Artha refers to someone who is distressed and desires relief from sickness, calamity, or other material miseries. That's called Artha, the distressed. Then Jigyasu refers to the inquisitive, desiring to understand the soul or becoming self-realized. The third is Artha Artharthi, desiring to enjoy land, money, a wife or a husband, or sons in this life or next life. And finally, Jnani, the one who is wise, who is a seeker of knowledge, desiring knowledge and liberation. So this is how we define these 4 categories. Okay, Artha, Jigyasu, Artharthi, Jnani.
Prabhuji, first definition, can you show it again? Artha.
Desiring relief from sickness, calamity, or other material miseries.
Okay.
So these are the 4 categories, right? The definition. Now, we have already heard about these 2 categories, Sakam and Niskam. We have discussed this before, Sakam and Niskam. So now you need to do the match, the following. These 4, Artha, Jigyasu, Artharthi, Jnani. Of these, who are Sakam and who are Nishkam? You can put in the chat box also the answer, or you can unmute yourself. right? So, Artha, which category? Anju Mataji.
Rajendra is Artha and Sakam.
Don't go for the second column. The third column. I'm talking about the first column and second column. Sakam. Artha is Sakam or Nishkam?
Artha is Sakam.
Okay, Artha is Sakam. Yes, Hanit Mataji. Jigyasu.
Sakam.
Sakam. Very good. Then Yashad Prabhu. Artha Arthi.
Sakam, Pujit Sakam.
Okay, Srinivas Gopal Prabhu. Gyani.
Yeah, also Sakam probably.
No, Gyani is Nishkam.
Nishkam.
Gyani is Nishkam because Gyani does not have material desires. Okay. Now let's look at the other column, the third column. There are 5 personalities mentioned there: Gajendra, Shukdev Goswami, Shaunak Rishi, 4 Kumaras, and Dhruva Maharaj. Now out of them, Gajendra is the example of which of these 4? Artha, Jigyasu, Arthati, Gyani.
Artha.
Artha. Yeah, very good. Then Shukdev Goswami is example.
Gyani.
Very good. Gyani. And then Shaunak Rishi is example of
Jigyasu.
Yeah, so 4 Kumaras.
Gyanis.
And Dhruva Maharaj.
Artharthi.
Very good. Okay, so these are examples. It makes it very clear that these people started off with some desires or no desires. And then because of association with pure devotees, they got transformed, they got changed. That's the main thing. Prabhupada mentions in the purport. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. Which book defines pure devotional service the best? That's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We'll be studying that as a part of our course, the last book. So that defines what pure devotional service is. Shuddha, completely pure. Their devotion is mixed with material desires. So they are not pure devotees. Now, let's try to understand. People will come from the background that they are not pure. They will adopt the process to become pure. We need to seriously understand this concept or reality and accept it. That people who are coming to a spiritual organizations are not already pure. They are coming to become pure, which means what? We should not expect them to be completely pure now. Not all of them. Many of them are like us, preparing to become pure, not pure yet, right? In this way, our approach towards them will be more healthy and will be less judgmental, right? Otherwise, we'll be very judgmental. We'll start judging everyone. Oh, this person has come because he has this intention. That person has come because she has that intention. You know, this person wants this from Krishna. That person wants that from Krishna. No problem. Let them come to Krishna with whatever they want. It's very nice that they have come to Krishna. So how they will become pure? The solution is given. They will become pure by association. When these 4 kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. How the other 4 mentioned in 15th shloka cannot take to Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada summarizes beautifully. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them, devotional service is very difficult. Why? Because their lives are selfish, habits are irregular, and they are without spiritual goals. I marked that line because here there is a indirect lesson for us. What is that? If we want to be progressive in Krishna consciousness, we have to give up these 3 things. We have to become more and more selfless. We have to become more and more disciplined in our habits. And we have to have focus on our spiritual goals. We need to have higher aspirations in spiritual life. If we can have these three, then we can become a progressive devotee. If we don't have these three, we are selfish, or we are indisciplined, or we do not have focus on spiritual goals, then one can lose the chance of Krishna consciousness. Okay. So this is what we understand here from this paragraph. Now, there is an exercise for you to do. You don't have to tell this to me now. You don't have to write in the chat box or voice it out. But think for yourself. When you came first to Krishna consciousness, you met devotees and you took to the process of bhakti. In which category you belonged? Out of those four. What was there happening in life that made you accept Krishna or Krishna bhakti? Was it suffering? Was it material desires, fulfillment of those desires? Was it just some curiosity? Or you are already established in knowledge of Atma? Four things. So here what we'll do is that we will do a poll, and we'll see in general, where do you all belong? Or what is the maximum proportion, right? In which category people are. So be honest, your name will not be visible, so no one will come to know why you came to Krishna consciousness. Yes, you can choose multiple options also if it's a combination. Okay, so I am launching the poll. You can take quick few seconds to do it. Right? You can also choose multiple options here. Not just one is needed. Multiple options can be there. Okay, few more seconds to go. Quickly, please respond. 33 devotees, 34 have done. There are many participants here. Some may be sleeping participants, so they may not respond. Okay. So 34 have answered so far. And 35 have answered. I'll give 2 more seconds and we'll stop this. We will show you the result. Okay, 36 have answered. End. Fine. So now 36 have answered, and you can look at the result I'm sharing. I think you can see the screen. So 22 people say distressed, 61%. 21 say inquisitive, 58%. 5 say seeker of wealth, 14%. 18 say seeker of absolute knowledge, 50%. Okay, good. I would just say that, but those who said seeker of absolute knowledge, you don't really belong to this category. You belong to inquisitive, those who are curious, because those who are seeker of absolute knowledge, they are quite self-realized people, which means they are quite above bodily consciousness, So that is very rare commodity actually. So it's inquisitive more, inquisitiveness. So that's how we see people come to Krishna. And all these people are there within the society ISKCON. All these kinds of people. Mostly these two categories, suffering like hell, and they have desires to fulfill. So that's why they're worshiping God, for those desires to get fulfilled. Okay, so now of these four, those who have discussed, all these four, the next question, who is most dear to Krishna of these four and why? Okay, Tina Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, seeker of absolute knowledge, they are much more dear to Krishna because they don't have any material desires and they have nishkama prema towards Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So of the four, the Gyanis are most dear to Krishna. Why? Because they are selfless in nature. That's pretty obvious. If someone is approaching you for your money, you won't like that person much. If someone is approaching you only when he or she has problems in life, you won't like that person much. If someone is always asking you questions and think you to be their encyclopedia, you will also not like that person much. But if someone is selflessly approaching you because that person likes you as you are, then it's natural you appreciate that person more, right? So Jnani, being selfless, draws Krishna's reciprocation more. So let's go to the next verse. Tesham Jnani Nityayukta Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate Priyo hi Jnanino Atyartham Aham Sa Cha Mama Priyaha. Jnani is very dear to Krishna, or of these four, most dear because of two qualities. First, does not leave Krishna. When the desires are fulfilled, the other people, they leave Krishna. Okay, I came to God, I asked for something, I got it, now bye-bye. Now I have nothing to do. Next time when I have a problem, I'll remember you again. So that attitude is there in the others. But here with Jnani, that attitude is not there. Okay, I have problems, I don't have problems, I continue to serve you, worship you. So that's why it's best. Always connected, does not leave. And second, exclusive in devotion, Eka Bhaktir, which means the Jnani does not go around in the shopping mall of different demigod worships. Today worship this god, tomorrow that god, then someday Krishna, then someday someone else. No, it's fixed in exclusive devotion to Krishna. Which means that the heart is not given out to different people. It's given to one person. Yes, I'm totally devoted to the Supreme Lord. I'm chaste to the Supreme Lord. So Eka Bhakti. That makes the Jnani dear to Krishna. Here, Jnani does not refer to Jnani in that sense. One who is very knowledgeable, one who knows the scriptures, or one who is very intelligent, who can think about Brahman. No, this Jnani is not that Jnani. This Jnani is a devotee Jnani. A devotee in knowledge. Not scientists, philosophers. No. Fine. So this person is very dear to Krishna, amongst the four most dear to Krishna. Okay. Let's read the translation. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. Okay. All right, let's go to the next shloka. So Arjuna says, are the others not dear to you? 18th shloka. And Krishna says, no, of course. The others are also dear to me. They are also dear to me. You know, he says, Udaraha sarva evaitya jnani tu atmaiva me matam athitaha, reading 18, sahyuktatma mam evanuttamam gatim. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. So all are dear to Krishna, but the Jnani is most dear to Krishna, or more dear to Krishna, I would say. Not most, more dear to Krishna, but all are dear to Krishna. Now, what do we understand from that? We'll just read this purport and then we'll come to that discussion. Yes, Anit Mataji, you can read this slide off the screen.
It is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. 7.18 purport.
Yeah. Okay. So now here there's something very essential to learn. We need to adapt ourselves to this particular understanding which is being given here by Lord Krishna. That people, they will have desires. And though having material desires is not the best form of devotional service, but one cannot help being so if one's consciousness is not elevated. One will be like that because of low level consciousness. In that situation, we have to be patient with them. Patient with them means we need to give them time to rise to a higher level of devotion. We cannot expect them to shoot up to the higher level in just a night. No, that will be an unrealistic expectation from such people, right? So here, here's a scenario. You need to tell me, what will you do in that situation? When you are sharing Krishna Bhakti with others and you very well know or understand that the highest goal is to become pure devotees of Krishna, how will you deal with people who are interested in Bhakti but have many material desires? How will you deal with those people? You'll become angry at them, you'll be frustrated with them, you'll be always hitting them hard with your philosophical arguments that this is Maya, that is Maya, give it up. Or you become inspired by them and you also then start developing a lot of material desires because you are enjoying world in such a nice way. Let me also enjoy. You are having material desires. Let me also complement that. So how will you deal with those people, and what will be your attitude in that situation? What do you understand about those people? How will be the take? Yes, Anit Maharaj.
Prabhuji, the fact that somebody is interested in bhakti is a very, very great thing by itself. We will be very compassionate, very appreciative, and encourage them by whatever little bhakti that they're doing, because we know that once a person is on this path with a pure desire that, okay, one wants to learn, then there is no looking back. One will always progress. Yes, there might be some ups and downs. They may have material desires, but that's fine. So long as, when Krishna can accept them for their material desires, who are we to tell them that they are not right?
Okay, good. So we accommodate them, we accept them. Yes, all right. Anju Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, the same as Harnit Mataji has said, that we have to be patient with them, and we should not be like putting them down for their material desires, because yes, we are also like when we are in the material world and we are not pure, that we naturally have to have these desires. So, but we should encourage them to go to Krishna for their desire and not through the demigods.
Yes, good. Usha Mataji.
Prabhuji, you can tell them, pastimes of Krishna, because hearing helps. So even I think that will really help. Shram.
Okay, so you engage them in bhakti, you're telling them Krishna, so Krishna, and they're hearing about Krishna. Yes, Mahesh.
Just now you told that we should not be judgmental. So I'll not at all be judgmental. In fact, I'll welcome because everybody's requirements are different, and this is starting. I mean, this is a stepping stone. Let them come to the first stage. Maybe depending on their progress, and when they come into association with other devotees, they will gradually progress to the highest goal. So I'll wait and watch. I will not be judgmental, rather let them, because their requirements may be different. My requirements may be different, like that.
Very good. So will not be judgmental. Yes, David Prabhu.
Yes, I think it will be more. It's good to encourage people, even if they are doing wrong, because I put myself in example in so many times when the people which through them I get to know the Christian consciousness. Every time I did something, I think I'm doing it wrongly, but they will encourage me, no, you are doing it right, and they will guide me to do it properly. And this has helped me a lot to reach where I am now. I'm nowhere, but I think every single day I'm getting better, and it really encouraged me to carry on.
Thank you, Prabhu. All right. understand that. Guru Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. First of all, let them have their material desire, but if they are very interested in the bhakti, then they will be following the regulative principles and chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra itself will do the wonders and magic in their heart one day. That is the magic, Prabhuji. And it helped me also, the Mahamantra, it also helped me also personally.
One more last, Ashok Prabhu.
Yes, we'll encourage them for chanting as well as reading the lectures of Srila Prabhupada. So material desires will automatically reduce in due course of.
Okay. So the medicine is you give them opportunities to practice bhakti. Now, if you behave with those in a way that they go away from bhakti, then we are not helping them. Right? So we need to accept. Like, for example, I've seen these two kinds of doctors, you know. There's one kind of doctor, when the patient comes, he's really, really heavy on the patient. Why did you eat that thing? Why did you do so? He'll start making fun of the patient. And this will so much more make the situation of the patient worse. At that time, the patient needs some counseling, some sympathy that, okay, the doctor knows very well. It's you who have eaten the wrong stuff and that's why you're suffering. But the doctor is not going to tell that on the face of that person. The doctor will say, first, let me cure you a bit. Once then you'll be a little more sensible. Then I'll tell you, from next time, don't eat this stuff. It's unhealthy for you. Similarly, when we know people are coming to Krishna and they have wrong desires, material desires means basically, in one sense, wrong desires, because those desires are going to keep them in the material world. So when they have those material desires, we don't really make them feel that they are useless, they are helpless, they are hopeless. But we have to somehow or other give them the inspiration of serving Krishna in a selfless manner. And when they will see that serving Krishna in a selfless manner pays off more than serving Krishna in a selfish attitude, then they will voluntarily decide to move from Sakam to Nishkam. By experience, that serving Krishna selflessly is much more blissful than serving Krishna with selfish desires. So we give them that time to make the transition, okay? And there's another way which we help them, which is also very important. It's coming in the last slide. So now in the last shloka for today, Krishna tells Arjuna, because Arjuna was saying now, of these four, who is more dear? Krishna said, Jnani. Are they not dear? Krishna said, they are also very dear to me. Which means even if someone has material desires, we should consider that person special because that person is a devotee of Krishna. Devotee of Krishna. So special, very special, rare in one sense, very, very rare. And now Krishna says, because Arjuna asks, who is the most dear to you? So Krishna says, that Jnani Bhakta who comes to me selflessly, that Bhakta can become that much selfless, after many, many births, that person becomes most dear to me. To become most dear to Krishna, even a Jnani has to purify himself a lot more. That comes in the next shloka, which is 19. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapatyate vasudevah sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So this kind of devotee, the Jnani Bhakta, becomes pure Bhakta after many, many births. Okay. After many births and deaths, he who is actually knowledge surrender unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare, very rare, very, very rare actually. It's not easy to find such a soul. Very rare soul. Vasudeva sarvam itvi sa mahatma sudurlabha. Krishna is everything. So we'll quickly read this purport. Yes, someone can volunteer to do that. Just read the English, no need to read the Sanskrit text which is there inside the purport. Seema Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals, after many, many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But one who is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Shri Krishna's mercy is everything, that he is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare.
Thank you,
This
ma'am.
verse.
That's all. So such surrendered souls are very rare, who sees Krishna in everything. They are having this vision, wonderful vision. Okay, so we are in shortage of time. I have 2 more slides to cover. I'll do that next time because that will take a lot of time to explain. All right, but I'll give you an exercise which you can do for tomorrow before you come for the class tomorrow. That will save time if you look at the exercise right away, and you can do it before the next class. So this is the exercise. You are able to see the screen. Understanding the different types of devotees discussed in verses 16 to 19 of chapter 7, please draw a hierarchy of them, showing steps to rise to the next levels. Okay. I'll send a screenshot of this question to the WhatsApp group also. So you can try doing it before the class tomorrow. The different kinds of devotees are mentioned in these verses, and you have to make a hierarchy of them and also show steps how from one level one can rise to the next level. The jnana in the table can't be succumb. Why? Many people come to get knowledge. So that knowledge is not being mentioned here. When you come to God to get knowledge how to earn money, then you are not a jnani. You are still a 𝗪𝗲, desirer of wealth. Okay. So when it's a knowledge, it has to be knowledge about Krishna, not any knowledge. So if one is approaching God for knowledge on how to become rich, that's not knowledge. Then we are approaching God to earn money for wealth. Knowledge is just a via medium. So that's why you see people, most of the people coming to God in Kali Yuga, it's mostly because either they are suffering miserably. Suffering miserably means physical suffering, mental suffering, relationship issues, some problem is there in their life, and coming to Krishna consciousness is a relief for them, a relief. So because of that, they get attracted to bhakti. It relieves them from their stress, anxiety, difficulties, challenges. That's distrust. And desire of wealth means basically one is looking for prosperity in life. So it can be wanting wealth, it can also be wanting success, it can also be wanting recognition in the society. It also means wanting some distinction, some mastery. So there is that desire of winning, and you think by taking God's help, you can win. You can win over life, you can win over your challenges. So that's 𝗪𝗲. Most of the people, 99%, they fall in these two categories. Then there are people who are curious, genuinely curious. And jnanis are very rare. Like example was whom? 𝗄𝗶𝗹𝗹 Goswami, 4 Kumaras. They are very rare jnanis, who are actually established in knowledge of the self. That Gyan, okay. Pandit or temple Purohit also considered as in same category. No, Pandit means which Pandit? One who does Karma Kanda Puja? That is not Jnani. That person has knowledge of Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. The word here, Gyan, does not refer to any kind of knowledge. Please try to understand, right? Not any kind of knowledge. Here, Jnani refers to one who has knowledge of the self, Atma Gyan. Not that because someone knows how to fix up a car in the garage, you call that person Jnani, who is most dear to Krishna. No, right? Someone who has Atma Gyan. Okay, Guru Main Prabhu. I'll take questions now if anyone has.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Here it mentioned in the 7.17 about the very dear to Lord Krishna, and in the chapter 18, it's in the 18.68 and 69, he says that the person who shares the secret knowledge says that he's very dear to me. But in the 7.17, he hasn't started, the Gyanis hasn't started the sharing the secret knowledge to the others. He's doing the devotional service and he has the knowledge.
Why are you comparing verses of different context? Here the context is there are 4 kinds of devotees who approach you, of them who is most dear. So the context is very limited. These are 4 categories of these who is most dear or who is the best.
Among these 4, okay.
That's one context, right? So in the context, Jnani is the best. But that doesn't mean that Jnani is the best in absolute sense.
I see. Okay, got it.
Got it? It's a context. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. All right. Any other question or comment? I think we are done with all the questions. So I'll share the exercise screenshot in the WhatsApp group. Please try to do that. It may need some kind of little research or study before you get the correct answer for it. So we'll see that with that tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Srila